Hi everyone, today I'm going to share a new project with you, and I'll be bringing you videos over the coming months of this project. It's going to be an art journal project, and I'm going to be using this old book to put it together. I'm not sure where I'm headed. I know that I just want to do lots of interesting pages, and I wanted to let you know how or who inspired me to do this project. And you may or may not have already come across her on the internet. Her name is France Papillon, and she is an art journalist, and she has recently celebrated, in fact this week, her 100th Journal on Monday entry, and she has been making videos of all her pages. And I just wanted to say thank you to France for all the inspiration, and I just wanted to make an art journal of my own where I just explore for exploring's sake. And like I said, I've got no idea where I'm going to end up with this, but I'm going to learn lots of things along the way, I'm sure, and I'd like to share them with you and perhaps inspire you to pick up an old book from an old bookstore and perhaps turn it into a work of art of your own. So I've decided that I'd like to turn this into a pocket page, and there's a few things that I've already realised that I need to think about. This book has its pages bound in groups, and they've got stitches running down the centre of them. So I know that I'll probably have to remove some of the pages from this book as I gradually add things to it, because they will tend to bulk up by the fact that I'm adding papers and perhaps tags and embellishments to my pages. So I'm just starting out by working in a centre of a set of pages, and I decided that I wanted to make it a pocket. And one of the things that I did wrong was I was looking at the proportions that I wanted my pocket to be, and I wasn't paying attention to where the stitching was in the book. So I definitely, if you take on a project like this, would learn from that mistake, because I had to kind of glue my pocket back in to my book because I cut my page smaller than the actual stitching on the centre section. So I'm going to measure out the height of my pocket so I can cut my pages, and I'm going to turn myself onto fast forward and just pop in every now and again to tell you a few hints and tips along the way. I've chosen a book with fairly substantial pages, and I know that they are very, very porous, so I'm going to have to be a little bit careful about how and when I add the products to my pages. So that again is going to be a little bit of a learning curve to me, and I'm decided that just to make things a little bit more sturdy, I'm going to just turn the tops of these pages down and trim them off so that my pocket is actually a double layer of paper. Now this is the first time that I've ever used gesso. I believe it's a primer, so I'm using it to kind of just take a little bit of that blotting property of my paper away. I don't want everything to sink straight into the paper and out the other side, so I'm just giving it a light coat of gesso. It kind of reminds me of an emulsion paint. That's what it smells like. I'm not sure, like I said, all the properties of gesso, but I've seen it used as a preparation ready to start inking and painting your pages. So I'm trying it out here and to see what it does differently to my pages once I get working with the acrylic paint. You can see I'm starting to discover that I've made a little bit of a mistake with the height of my pockets, but I can fix that, and I'm going to move on, and I just want to join the front and back pages of this little sandwich of pages together. So I'm going to go back to my multi-medium to join those pages together so that they're nice and thick, and then I'm ready to start painting. This is definitely a tip I've seen other art journalists use to stop the paint bleeding through into other pages and damaging other artwork. I'm just using a strip of this Tim Holtz tissue tape just to create a little bit of a barrier in the centre of my pages, and it's also working to hold my pocket in place. So I'm going to be using my distress paints to colour my pages, and I'm starting out with Broken China because I want to make a cloudy sky effect. And you can see I've just removed a little bit of paint where the title of my book is in the text. So this book is called White Rabbit, and that's the little group of words that I'm revealing with my paintbrush here. So I'm just removing some of that distress paint, and I intend to keep this title visible on my page. I decided to create a little bit of a resist using some Cosmic Shimmer clear texture paste, so I'm hoping that will help protect and keep this area legible once the page is finished. You can see I'm very much using the applicator of the distress paints to apply it to my page, and I'm using it to blend the paint into that gesso background, and I'm also using a piece of kitchen roll on my finger to do the same thing. And I really want that sky to blend down into the grassy area which is covering the majority of the pocket. So I'm using pumice stone and peeled paint, as well as coming back and blending in with the Broken China distress paints. And I'm starting to use a couple of Creative Expressions background stamps. I've got a crackle stamp and a script stamp that I'm using with the same colour distress inks as I've got on my background. So the peeled paint and the Broken China. I'm just adding very small amounts of texture. I want to keep it nice and light. I don't want anything too heavy, and I'm just making sure my distress ink is dry before I continue to work on my page. Previous to this video, I have been working on pages in a art pad, a watercolour pad for my journal, and as I've been watching France's work, I've decided that I wanted to create a beautiful journal the way that she has. And one of the things that I really admire about her work is, as well as the mastery she has of the products she's using, but the fact that her journal pages reflect how she's feeling on a particular day. And I didn't really know what this page was going to be about. And it wasn't until I started working with the stamps that I started to realise what it was that I wanted this page to be about, what I wanted it to reflect. And it was quite current, as you will see as I get through and begin to put a few stamped images onto this page. can see here that my pocket is starting to come away, and I'm going to have to glue that down. And I'm just adding a frame to my page with some black soot distress ink. As I start to stamp using another from the Creative Expressions stamp range, and I'm just stamping a poppy, and I want a field of poppies going across my page and across the pockets of my book. And as I stamp, you'll see that it's a little bit more tricky stamping on pages that are not completely flat, and you can see that this is the page that is slightly lighter as it stamps because it's facing sort of at an angle, whereas the page on the right hand side is flat. So you will need to bear that in mind should you decide to make a journal in a book that's bound in the way that this one is. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have a few more issues as I go through the book with the actual layout of the book itself. So you can see here I'm just having to just play around with my stamp on the block a little bit so that I can fill in right up to the inside edge of the page. I haven't been trying to be really brilliantly clear and crisp with my stamping, except for on the poppies. So I just want to give the illusion that these poppies are all sticking up above a meadow of country wild flowers, and I just want the poppies to be the star of the show. I'm going to be using my red Festive Berries Distress paint to colour in my poppies. As I start using my pen just to tidy up my stamping and to make sure that those poppy stems go right through and down into the pocket area of my page, I started to think about last night when we actually turned off our lights between 10 and 11 o'clock at night and lit a candle to remember our war heroes that died to give us the freedoms that we have and enjoy today. And it started me thinking about my dad and my husband's dad, actually, because both of them served in the forces. My husband served in the forces, as did my brother, my brother-in-law, my mum, Ivan's mum. So we've got quite a military history in our family, and it always makes me remember my dad when times like this we celebrate the bravery of our servicemen. And I wanted this page to reflect my memories of my dad and my husband's dad, so I'm going to dedicate this page to them, and I'm going to journal on the tags that I'm going to make my pockets some of my memories of my dad and our lives within that service background. So that's the way this page is going, and I hope that although I'm aiming to create a pretty page, that it also is something quite poignant and something that I can look back on in the future. I did think at first that I wanted to stitch my pages down so that they were nice and secure rather than glue them, and then I remembered my little trusty sewing machine. Some of you may have seen this before. I wasn't sure if it's going to work. It is a little bit tricky, and you can see it looks pretty awkward as I'm releasing some of those threads, but I do get there and I quite like the end result. It's nice and sturdy, it's great, it's some nice pockets, and it's just given a little bit of texture to my page. I couldn't do all this manoeuvring with a full-size sewing machine, that's for sure. So here's my page finished off with the stitching all tidied up and all the threads tied off, because this sewing machine stitches with a kind of chain link, and if you don't tie off the ends then you'll end up with all your stitching unravelling. And I've made my little pockets ready to take my journaling, and I'm going to decorate those next. Before I begin colouring my tags, I've decided to just add a little bit of texture and dimension to my pages, and I'm going to add the glossy accents to all of my poppies, and then I'm going to be using this dimensional paint, and one of them is extremely old by Plaid, which I've had forever. It shows how well the paint has aged, and I'm using that just to add some colour to this greenery and foliage in the foreground of the poppy field. And I'm going to be using the same kind of paint, but this time it's a Pearl PVA by Creative Expressions, Cosmic Shimmer should I say, in a green, and I'm just adding little dots to the little wild flowers that's in the meadow with the poppies. My distress inks, and this time I'm blending the broken china, pested berries and the peeled paint, and I'm going to be colouring both sides of my tags. I love working with my distress inks because there are so many things that you can do with them. You can see here that I've got all my lovely colours blended across the surface of my tag, and now I'm just adding some texture by flicking water over the surface of the tags, and I'm creating lots of different size drops, as you'll see, using a paintbrush. One of them I'm just tapping against another paintbrush to create smaller droplets. I'm flicking with my fingers, and I'm also using a soft bristle brush, and I'm just running my finger across the top of the bristles to create really fine splatter, and I'm just keeping going till I'm happy with the texture that I've created on my little tags, and then I'm drying them off, ready to repeat that on the other side. onto some butterflies, again stamping with the archival ink. I've got some large and small butterflies, and I just want, I'm not sure how many at the moment, so I'm just filling up this paper strip with little stamped butterflies. So adding colour using my distress inks. This time I'm adding another colour to the mix, and I'm using mustard seed. I did think about using ripe persimmon, but in the end I just opt for making red and yellow butterflies. Adding a little bit of yellow shimmer to the wings using a Cosmic Shimmer drawing ink, and then I'm going to cut out my little butterflies and give them a coating of glossy accents. Next I want to add some glossy accents to all of my butterflies, and then I want to move on and finish off decorating my tags. So I decided I wanted to add a little bit of the stitching and another small stamped image. So this time a different grass stamp, and I'm just stamping one on the side of the tag and then repeating that on the reverse. And that way I can journal on both sides of my tags should I want to. And bearing in mind that I've got the stitching on my book page, I've decided to stitch around my tags as well. This is definitely a lot easier proposition than actually using the little machine to stitch on the book pages. So I'm just going around the very edge of the tag and then tying off the loose ends. So to finish off my page, I'm just adding these little tiny butterflies to the tops of my tags, and also flying and fluttering about my poppy field, and then I'm just adding the wording using these Tim Holtz stickers. And I thought it appropriate to add the wording "I will always remember" and "gratitude," and then I'm going to use my tags to add pictures of both of mine and my husband's parents, and I'm going to do some journaling about our time in the forces. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed my page. So a big thank you again, and congratulations to France on her 100th Journal on Monday page. So as usual, at the end of this video I'll leave you some links, and one of them will be a link to that 100th video that France made of her journal on Monday. I'm saying hoping because I'm not 100% sure that I can post a link to one of her videos. If I can't, I'll put the link in the description down below. So until next time, and another journal page or something else creative from me, don't forget, if you've enjoyed my videos, to hit the subscribe button. It's also helpful to me if you press the share button and share my videos with your friends. I look forward to creating with you again soon, and until next time, thank you for watching.